Alright, everyone. I know the last one, my head got cut off a little bit. And that's alright. It's just like it's hard to get that picture in this one. All the pictures that I'm trying to get. We're just gonna wipe off the board for our next section, our next session. This is gonna be about life force. And we're going to talk about maintaining your life force. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is going to be like one of the biggest things. This is one of the most important things. So, if your body's run down, then your life force is probably going to be run down too. So in my last video, I was talking about peaks in mountains, but that's kind of like a moon. These peaks that we have, we want to hold on to them because that's what feels the best. So go check out my last video. I'm trying to remember what I called it. Anyway, this is the moon. And we want to hold on to the peaks of what feels the best. Sex is momentarily, which is one of the best physical feelings. If it's one of the best physical feelings, with such as touch. And it also stimulates this. It brings you to the peak, but then it brings you back down. I don't remember the video that I did before this. Something about Jordan being the next Jordan Peterson. Change Your Life Today is where I mentioned the mountains and the peaks. In fact, we're going to talk about these mountain peaks a lot because this, as I stated in the beginning of the video, is about maintaining a high elevated state. There we go. That's pretty cool. So we want to stay on these peaks and not get to the valleys. Our valleys can become peaks. Maintaining your life force is what matters. So when you lose this, you're not going to feel as good. And so be it. As I was saying, this is why meditators meditate, and this is why they do certain things. There's so many things, it's pretty much endless to raise your energy. There's a bunch of things, and there's things that decrease your energy. I don't even know where to start because there's so many things, but moving your body, taking in air as an element, air, taking in the element, you are increasing your life force just by simply doing that. That stems off in the breathing techniques, which people who usually sit down when you do the breathing techniques or you're stationary, and that ranges all the way to exercise. Exercise is one of the best things for anybody, especially spiritually, because exercise basically is spiritual. But so is everything. When you take in the more breaths, eventually you'll take slower breaths. The slower the breaths that you have, the more stiller that you are. The more still and more slower breaths you have, then you have less thoughts and less thoughts till getting to the very point where you have no thoughts. Now, are you conscious when you have no thoughts or unconscious? That's a whole video in itself. But I just want to talk about the importance of the life force. So, such as any drug or alcohol is always going to, because the nature of it, the vibration of it is just going to take you down. That's what it does. It can heighten you in other things, but when we talk about life force, ultimately, it goes down. Any drugs or alcohol. Now, if the alcohol was raw and it was fermented, then it could not have, it can have medicinal effects. It can have a bunch of other effects to it. But for the sake of things, most people have such good health that they can afford to damage themselves, or they unknowingly ruin themselves, or they just don't care. And there's something to say in that not caring is worse than caring and still doing it. So not caring is beneficial. There's always a paradox to this and that. But most people can afford to drink a beer, drink liquor, you know what I mean? Especially if they're very active, especially if they have a lot of fat and blubber on them. It all depends on the person and who they are. This takes your energy down. That's why you feel like shit. That's why you have headaches. That's why drinking liquor is not really pleasant. It's the adversity, but there's effects that people like. Smoking cigarettes would make you go down. Okay. Being a couch potato all the time could make you go down. You know, not everyone's going to feel the going down effect. You have to really feel it. It's really hard to feel. It's easy to feel, but at the same time, for people being covered up and the veil, the whole 9 yards, it's going to be harder for them to feel. They'll probably learn about it first. So it's good to experiment. Like I said, people do it more so for fun and recreational, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it either way. It just is what it is, and what happens is what happens. So there's a lot of things that increase your energy, and there's a lot of things that decrease your energy. And again, you always want to eventually, and you're gonna try to increase your energy. That's what you always do. And this all comes from life force. There's a bunch of stuff that gives you life force. Playing video games could take your life force. Being inside too much could decrease your energy. Not enough fresh air. Not enough air. Maybe there's mold inside. Not getting enough sun. turn into the sun. But there's so many things that could happen. And you just have to be aware how everything makes you feel. You may feel good maybe when you first drink, but then let's just say you feel good for a day when you drink, but then you feel like shit for 2 days, okay? And you start feeling like shit so much, you're losing vitality. The goal is to maintain a life force that you want to maintain and find out about energy, because the whole point of this video is you are energy. I don't even want to talk about the body. I don't want to talk about the thoughts. I don't even necessarily want to talk about God. I want to make this a simpleton, a simple man thing that you understand. Is that you're just an energy. I love doing these though. They're so fun to make. You're just this energy, though we can't see it. It's kind of covered up. That is the veil. The veil. That's life force. Kind of like an introduction video. What I was saying a second ago, though, is when you're young, you have more life force. It flows through you. Most of all, life force can be felt, but most people aren't aware. Life force works in magnificent ways. It's everything. Your energy is everything, and you can do a lot of things. A lot of things are possible. Anything's possible pretty much when it comes down to it. But there are limitations in the physical world. That's going to happen. I'm going to do more videos on what brings this energy up. Like I said, this is going to be like so many topics, so many of the peaks and the valleys, because it's such a good analogy. And what people don't realize is it's the focusing on energy. We want to balance this. We want to bring this to a homeostasis, where it's going. All right. Thanks everyone for joining.